Our reading this morning is from Psalm 55, and I'm going to ask one of our many from the congregation to come up and read that. I'll just pick someone. Oh, there's someone over there. Mark, would you like to come up and read Psalm 55? Thank you.
Psalm 55. Hear now the holy and inspired word of the Lord. Listen to my prayer, O God. Do not ignore my plea. Hear me and answer me. My thoughts trouble me and I am distraught because of what my enemy is saying, because of the threats of the wicked. For they bring down suffering on me and assail me in their anger. My heart is in anguish within me. The terrors of death have fallen on me. Fear and trembling have beset me. Horror has overwhelmed me. I said, oh, that I had the wings of a dove. I would fly away and be at rest. I would flee far away and stay in the desert. I would hurry to my place of shelter, far from the tempest and storm. Lord, confuse the wicked, confound their words, for I see violence and strife in the city. Day and night they prowl about on its walls. Malice and abuse are within it. Destructive forces are at work in the city. Threats and lies never leave its streets. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were rising against me, I could hide. But it is you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship at the house of God, as we walked about among the worshippers. Let death take my enemies by surprise. Let them go down alive to the realm of the dead, for evil finds lodging among them. As for me, I call to the Lord, and the Lord saves me. Evening, morning and noon, I cry out in distress, and he hears my voice. He rescues me, unharmed, from the battle waged against me. Even though many oppose me, God, who is enthroned from of old, who does not change, he will hear them and humble them, because they have no fear of God. My companion attacks his friends. He violates his covenant. His talk is smooth as butter, yet war is in his heart. His words are more soothing than oil, yet they are drawn swords. Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. But you, God, will bring down the wicked into the pit of decay. The bloodthirsty and deceitful will not live out half their days. But as for me, I trust in you. This is the word of the Lord.
We're very blessed this morning. We have a guest speaker to bring the message to us, and I'd like to invite Wally Gear to come and bring the message. This was prepared a number of weeks ago, this message, and as we've come to this day, I couldn't think of a more timely message for this time, and so I'm looking forward to hear what Wally's got to say. Thank you, Wally, for coming to speak to us.
Well, thank you, Tony, for the welcome. It's great to be here. First for me to be preaching to a camera. I got lots of emotional responses from a camera, but it's great to be able to be here just the same and to share with you the Word of God. Let me just pray first before we start. Father, as we come to hear your Word, we pray that you quieten our hearts and our minds. We might hear you speaking to us. Speak to our hearts, show us our needs, show us yourself, Lord Jesus. We pray in your name. Amen. Well, I'm thinking about the title of the sermon, Anxiety and its Cure. A bit of a big title, isn't it? To cure anxiety. It's a very real issue at the moment, isn't it, with this coronavirus. There are queues at the supermarket. I was down at Aldi the other day. You were wedged in, as it were, trying to get minced steak from the shelves, and if you were lucky you got some. In my case, I didn't. Centrelink has great queues that go around the block. The Centrelink internet service has crashed a number of times. But that's only recent, isn't it? We can think about our society itself. Where's it going? What's happening with it? What's happening to marriage? How do you cope with anxiety? I looked up, Googled into search engine the other day, typed in anxiety, there were 474 million entries. So I think anxiety is a problem that everybody feels and everyone wrestles with it. And Psalm 55 is wrestling with anxiety. It's not just a prayer, that prayer can make a difference, but prayer did make a difference. So it becomes a model for us to learn from. So we're going to look at this psalm together. First of all, we're going to talk about telling God how it is, verses 1 to 11. And then a deep hurt, verses 12 to 15. And then cure for anxiety, verses 16 to 23. I want you to notice that this psalmist is totally honest with his feelings. Hear my thoughts and answer me. My thoughts trouble me, I'm distraught. Talks about the voice of the enemy, the stares of the wicked. They bring down suffering on me. They revile me in their anger. Verse 4. My heart's in anguish. Talks about the terrors of death that assail me. I drew a graph of this. I'd like to have a quick look at the graph. There's nothing fancy about the shape of the graph, but it does show the sort of emotional roller coaster that the psalmist is going through. If you like, verses 1 to 3 is the sort of précis of the psalm, a crisis. And then he goes down to talk about anguish and negative emotion, verses 4 to 8. And then he rises again, as it were, in verses 9 to 11 in the prayer. And then he talks about betrayal down in negative territory again, verses 12 to 14. Talks about death, let death overtake his enemies. And then he has a little mountain crest again of faith in verse 16 to 19. Then he's being attacked, verses 20 to 21. And finally he's trusting, verse 22 and 23. If you like, he's on this roller coaster, up and down, and that's really what anxiety looks like, isn't it? One moment we're on top, and the next moment we're down the bottom, and then we're on top again, and then we're down the bottom, and where's level ground? It's an ugly sight for a believer to be in turmoil like this. It reminds us that Christians aren't perfect. We all have these emotional roller coasters. You can think about David when he was in that situation with Absalom trying to take over the kingdom and fleeing for his life and running out into the territory, and right in the middle of it there's Ahithophel, his advisor, who's gone off to Absalom, and he feels distraught. And we can be under pressure too. It could be financial pressure nowadays. And so we turn to gambling for the quick fix. I remember reading or hearing about how quick it was gambling changed people around. In the years of SP bookmakers, it used to take about 10 years to clean somebody out of all their money. And then TAB came along, and it only became 2 years. And then pokies came along, and it became 3 months. And so people are going on this quick fix, and it just doesn't work. There's social pressure, and so people try drugs to escape, or they try alcohol. I remember one of my uncles was an alcoholic. He was a bit of a failure as a person, and so he tried to hide it in his drink, force his wife to become an alcoholic as well. Not a nice picture. So can I just suggest the first thing about anxiety is to accept your own emotions. Emotions, feelings, they're neither good nor bad. They're part of who we are. We're made in the image of God. He gave us our emotions. Jesus had emotions. Remember, he got angry in the temple, got that whip and drove the money changers out. He was sad. Remember at the tomb of Lazarus? He wept. Remember the joy Jesus has for the disciples. They came back telling me, even the demons are subject to us, and he's filled with joy. And then that leper comes before him, and if you're willing, make me clean. And Jesus reaches out in compassion and touches the man. He has emotions. So we can tell God. We don't need to fear telling God. He knows anyway. We can be blunt. I remember years ago in chaplaincy training, we had to write a journal. And it was not entries like, I had an argument about such and such, but I felt hurt by someone saying, and you say exactly what it was. So you're objectifying what was happening, acknowledging the feeling that they actually hurt you, or they embarrassed you. Or maybe you're not a writer. You can't write it in the journal, but you can tell somebody. Tell one of the elders, tell a friend, tell Tony. Get it out in the open. I remember hearing of a lady being told in a hospital that she had cancer, and it was the first time she'd known about it, and she broke down and was weeping. This nurse came along and said to her, "Suck it up, princess." How unfeeling could you be? If someone came along and said, "This hurts, but people don't care." It just like evaporates the whole scenario. Someone understands the pain. My first point then is, don't super spiritualise. Don't talk to yourself and say, "I should be able to cope." Jesus found strength in prayer. He often prayed. Remember, before the disciples were selected, he spent a whole night in prayer. I wonder what he was praying about and said when James and John saying, "Can we have the left hand and the right hand in the kingdom of heaven?" He must have been thinking, "Oh boy, what does it take? How long do I have to keep teaching these guys?" When he saw the temple in abuse, the money changers, he prayed. Tell God how it is. In the midst of these prayers is the deep hurt, verses 12 to 15. Notice he says, "If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were raising himself against me, I could hide from him. But it's you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship as we walked with the throng at the house of God." Betrayal by a close friend. You can expect trouble from an enemy, can't you? But a fellow worshipper? It's like the rug has been pulled out from under your feet. It's a deep pain. These people have abused a privilege. I wonder how Jesus felt about Judas. Comes to the crowd and he says, "The one whom I kiss, he's the man." And he even brings the soldiers into Gethsemane, a place where Jesus prayed. How must that have hurt? What about Jesus as he's on the cross? My God, why have you forsaken me? My God! You know, Jesus had this relationship with the Father from all eternity. He comes to earth to do the Father's mission. He's on the cross. He's overwhelmed with the Father turns his back on him. One of the questions that comes up in verse 15 is, how could you pray this, verse 15? Let death take my enemies by surprise. Let them go down alive to the grave, for evil finds lodging amongst them. What's really saying is, let them go to hell. How could a Christian say that? Didn't Jesus say, we're to forgive, and how often shall I forgive my brother, says to people? 7 times? No, says Jesus, 70 times 7. We're hurt like this. How do we pray? Well, first of all, to be angry is not sin. Ephesians says, doesn't it? Be angry, but sin not. And we already said Jesus in the temple was angry at the money changers. And notice another thing that it says is he's asking God to be the judge. He's not taking judgment into his own hands, the psalmist. He's praying that God would do something, let death take them by surprise, let them go down to the grave. He's asking God, because he says, listen to my prayer, O God, verse 1. He's asking God to do something. He's not saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go out and knock their heads off. He's asking God to be consistent, like he was. Remember when Korah rebelled and the earth opened up and all the followers were against Moses, they fell into that big pit in the ground. He's saying, God, do the same thing again. Get rid of evil. So when we're dealing with anger, sometimes we think, well, Jesus wouldn't pray like that. But it's in the Bible, so David did. Now, David's not perfect, Jesus is. And you're not perfect, I'm not perfect. I remember one of the lecturers at Reformed Theological College saying to me, it's better to get it wrong in your prayers than not say it at all. I mean, God knows anyway. If this is how you feel, let him go to hell. That's the way you feel. Well, you can say that to God. He understands. And if you get it wrong, the good thing about being a Christian is you can always repent, don't you? You can say, Lord, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. But if that's how you're feeling, let God know. You feel anger towards somebody else, someone who's hurt you, remember that Jesus has dealt with that on the cross. He became, as it were, the world's punching bag. He took our sins in his body. By his stripes we're healed. He's our substitute. So what's the cure for anxiety? First of all, we can say one cure is prayer. It's not magic, but it's a way of sharing the load, isn't it? 16. But I call to God, and the Lord saves me. A Christian does have supernatural resources that an unbeliever doesn't have. Jesus said, come to me, all who are burdened, and I will give you rest. So it's helpful to tell God. You don't have to be polished in your prayer. Don't even have to have a whole sentence. You can just tell God in words or phrases, sighs or groans. It can be erratic. 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast your cares on him, for he cares for you. And the word has got the idea of casting it and leaving it. Not going to pick it up again, but giving it to the Lord. Because he does care. Prayer. Another cure for anxiety is to trust in God's sovereignty. Verse 22 says, cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous fall. The cares, the word for cares there is the word for lot or what is given. And what the psalmist is telling us to do is to give back to God what he's given you. Nothing Nothing is outside God's control. Everything's ordered. This coronavirus, nothing else, it's all under God's sovereign hand. And He's ordered our life and placed us in this time in history so we can give back to God the circumstances He's given to us. We can share our life with Him. My job's getting me down. Future's so uncertain. Family's disruptive. I've got this horrible disease. Augustine says, doesn't he? You have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they've found their rest in you. That word means sustain, is to hold up, to support, to nourish. It doesn't say He's going to take you out of the problem. He sustain you in the problem. Psalm 23. Though I go through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear, for you are with me. It's like Joseph. Remember Joseph with his brothers? They all come down to Egypt in their rags looking for food, and he says, leave all this stuff, and He gives them new provisions. That's what God does. He gives us His strength. The Lord gives the nourishment we need for the circumstances we're in. Another cure there in this prayer is eschatology. That's a big word, isn't it? But it really just means the last things. And it's good because it's the last verse in this psalm. But you, O God, will bring down the wicked into the pit of corruption. Bloodthirsty and deceitful men will not live out half their days. But as for me, I trust in you. Now what he's saying really is that evil won't have the last word. He gets the big picture. You, O God, will bring down the wicked. God does win. Somebody asked Desmond Tutu, remember Desmond Tutu, the Anglican Archbishop in South Africa, where all apartheid and all those murders and tie, they put this tie around people's necks and set it on fire. And he had this Truth and Reconciliation Commission, remember? How can you be so forgiving when so much horribleness has been done, when so much pain and suffering has been, how can you forgive? And Desmond Tutu says, I've read the book. I've read the last chapter, and we win. We win. Jesus is coming back, and He will be vindicated, and evil will be eradicated. Similarly, there was a song written some years ago by Graham Kendrick, For This I Have Jesus. He says, for the joys and for the sorrows, for the best and worst of times, for this moment, for tomorrow, for all that lies behind, the fears that crowd around me, the failures of my plan, for the dreams of all I hope to be, the truth of what I am. For this I have Jesus. For this I have Jesus. For this I have Jesus. For the tears that flow in secret, in the broken times, for the moments of elation or the troubled mind, for all the disappointments or the sting of old regrets, all my prayers and longings that seem unanswered yet. For this I have Jesus. For this I have Jesus. For this I have Jesus. For the weakness of my body, the burdens of each day, for the nights of doubt and worry when sleep has fled away, the needing reassurance, the will to start again, a steely-eyed endurance strength to fight and win. For this, I have Jesus. For this, I have Jesus. The Christian is indwelt by Christ. His life enables us. If you're a believer this morning, is this your situation? Are you anxious like the psalmist? Then I invite you to cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. If you're not a believer this morning, a question for you: how do you cope? Are you like that nurse in the hospital, suck it up, princess? You need the Lord. You need to confess your rebellion, ask for forgiveness, and seek His grace. Remember, the psalmist is saying that He will do no wicked, He's just. And so the psalmist can say, but as for me, I trust in you. Is that your prayer this morning? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, this morning as we think of you and your great sovereign care of this world and how you bring us through different circumstances of life, help us to trust you. Help us to be open with our emotions and our feelings, and to call upon you in our day of trouble, to know your presence and your help. We pray forgiveness for our sins. We pray for those who don't know you, Lord, that you might open their hearts, that they might turn to you and find you an ever-present help in times of trouble. We pray in the Lord